Hi guys, welcome to Tihaskar. My name is Kriti and today we're discussing battles of Tarain and Chandwar. 11th century was a period of great flux and confusion in North India. There was a collapse of the Pratihar dynasty, and by the end of 11th century, the Gaharwal dynasty had become a reputable power in the Ganga Yamuna Doab. In the northwest frontier area, the Ghaznavid power was declining, and the emergence of the Ghurids in the 12th century sealed their fates. They lost all their important cities, including Ghazna or Ghazni, to the expanding empire of Ghor. In 1163 CE, Ghiyasuddin Muhammad assumed the throne of Ghor. He appointed his younger brother, Muizzuddin Muhammad bin Sam, as the ruler of Ghazna, recalling a Turkish tribal tradition. This unique partnership enabled one brother to focus on his conquest of India, while the other brother concentrated on Central and West Asian problems. Chronologically, in 1173 CE, Muhammad Ghori finally brought an end of Ghaznavid Empire and established their own dynastic rule. Just 4 years later, in 1177 CE, Prithviraj III, popularly known as Prithviraj Chauhan, ascended the throne of the Chehman or the Chauhan dynasty at the tender age of 11 years. The next 10 to 15 years saw consolidation of power on both the sides. While Muhammad Ghori occupied Multan, rest of the Punjab, and even made some unsuccessful attempts at invading the Chalukyas in Gujarat, Prithviraj isolated himself by taking on almost all of his neighbors, including the Tomars in Delhi, Gaharwals in Kannauj, Chandelas in what is present-day Madhya Pradesh, and of course the Solanki Chalukyas in the Kathiawar Peninsula. And so by 1186 CE, the Chauhan dynasty was the sole prime barrier to the expanding Ghurid Sultanate. It is in this background that we locate the first and the second battles of Tarain. So this is a rough map of all the polities that were present in South Asia and the Indian subcontinent in around 1175 CE, when the Ghurid Empire was just beginning its expansion. Here are the Chauhans and the Gaharwal dynasty with Prithviraj Chauhan here and Jaichand as the ruler of the Gaharwals. There was a constant enmity between the Chauhans, the Parmars, the Chauhans and the Chalukyas, the Chauhans and the Gaharwals, which ultimately later on ended up being not in favor of the Chauhans in the Second Battle of Tarain. The orange line represents the entirety of the Ghurid Empire once it expanded to its full extent. This is a clearer map of the territorial expand of the different polities. So as you can see, the Gaharwals were in the proper Ganga Yamuna Doab, right below them are the Chandelas with their capital at Khajuraho. We've got the Gujarat Chalukyas, who are also known as the Solanki Chalukyas, and of course the Chauhans with Delhi and Ajmer as their capitals. And you can see the Ghurids are just bordering the Chauhans, and the first barrier were the Chauhans for the Ghurids in India. Individually, this is the map of the Chalukyas of Gujarat, the Solanki Chalukyas of Gujarat. They were also facing an imminent threat from the Ghurid Empire, but they never lost to the Ghurid dynasty. So they were able to attain and maintain their sovereignty even though the Ghurid Empire expanded all throughout. They were probably the only polity which were successfully able to do it. Here is the Chahamanas or the Chauhans. Again, Ajmairu, Shakambari are the capital cities, important cities. And here are the Gaharwals. Now, what were the battles of Tarain? Ever since in class 6, when we are reading medieval history, we are taught that battles of Tarain were so important as they changed the face of the Indian demography. Now, what were they and why were they so important? In 1191 CE, Ghori attacked the fortress of Tabarhind. That's where it began. The fortress of Tabarhind, which was strategically very important for the defense of Delhi. Prithviraj attained a complete victory and treated this entire scenario as a frontier fight. This is the first Battle of Tarain, by the way, in which Prithviraj had a complete successful victory. Just the next year, however, in 1192 CE, the Second Battle of Tarain constituted a turning point in history. Defeated, Prithviraj fled and was captured at Hisar in the present-day Haryana. There are varying accounts of Prithvi's fate after that, but most suggest that he survived post-Second Battle of Tarain and was made to accept the overlordship of Ghori, retaining his territories. This is also attested by archaeological evidence like coins which were issued by Prithviraj in his name with Sri Muhammad bin Sam engraved on the reverse of those coins. In 1192 CE, again Qutbuddin Aibak was placed as governor of Hisar in present-day Haryana and Sirsa, and he later captured Delhi from the Tomars in 1193, making it the base of Turkish operations in India. These are modern day representations of what Muhammad Ghori would have looked like. On the left and on the right is a representation of Prithviraj Chauhan. Obviously Prithviraj Chauhan was younger, way younger than Muhammad Ghori, so you can see the contrast there. This is a representation, again a modern day representation of the Second Battle of Tarain. This map is actually quite clear and it helps us understand better the way the empires were functioning on the eve of the battles of Tarain in 1191 and 1192 CE. So if you can see, over here is Tarain, as I've just marked. It was quite close to Lahore, which was used as a seat of importance by the Turkish rulers, for example Qutbuddin Aibak, and here just close by is Tarain, where the first and the second battles of Tarain were fought, after which the Chauhans came under the overlordship of the Ghurid Empire. Most often we do read about the first and the second battles of Tarain, but we don't, however, read about the Battle of Chandwar. This is equally, if not more important than the first and the second battles of Tarain. Why? Let's see. It was in 1194 CE that Battle of Chandwar was fought between Muhammad Ghori and Raja Jayachand of the Gheherwal dynasty. The Gheherwal dynasty is the same one which had a lot of enmity with Prithviraj because he had eloped with their daughter Sanyogita. Jayachand here suffered a crushing defeat. Treasures were plundered, temples in Varanasi were destroyed, and the capital city of Kannauj was captured in 1198 CE. The battles of Tarain and Chandwar laid the foundation of Turkish rule in India. Is the full extent of Ghurid Empire in its full glory in about 1206 CE. And these are the neighboring kingdoms and little polities which were existing along with Ghurid Empire. So as you can see, the Solankis or the Chalukyas of Gujarat retained their independence and sovereignty right up until the end, whereas the Chauhans were over here, the Gaharwals were over here. They all swept in one by one into the Ghurid Sultanate. The Chandelas also retained their sovereignty with Khajuraho as their capital for quite a while. Now, why were the Rajputs defeated? The Rajputs had a lot of advantage on their side. Their size of military and resources for war was superior than any other successor state of Central or West Asia. They didn't lack martial spirit or courage or bravery as compared to the Turks, and their weaponry was equal to that of the Turks as well. So why did they lose? First of all, they weren't united. The large Rajput armies which faced the Turks did not have a united command, and it was difficult to maneuver these heterogeneous forces of different feudatories. Rajputs gave greater weight to men than to mobility. There was quick movements, rapid advance and retreat, shooting arrows while mounted on horses on one side, and heavy, slow-moving masses centered around elephants on the other. Which do you think would have won? While as an institution, slavery is hardly commendable, in the immediate context it provided the Turkish sultans with a body of commanders who were totally loyal and devoted. Turkish sultans had been accustomed to large standing armies. Contrarily, the Rajput army saw a decline in the number of standing soldiers because of the existing Samantavad or feudal system, which made it difficult to control the feudatories. There was also infighting amongst the Rajput clans, which proved a myopic strategy as they ended up being isolated in the face of foreign invasions. The Second Battle of Tarain is a prime example of this. Now, as I mentioned earlier, these three battles were quite important because of the consequences that followed. Not only did they lay the foundation of Turkic rule in India, but also acted as a precursor to the creation of Delhi Sultanate. There was the introduction of a centralizing force in North India after centuries of divided principalities. And there was also later on introduction of the institutions of Ikta and Kharaj. The Ghori dynasty was quite short-lived and only saw the two brothers Ghiyasuddin and Muizuddin as the prime leaders. After the death of Muhammad Ghori, his empire was divided amongst his slaves, his most famous slave being Qutbuddin Aibak, who established the Sultanate of Delhi in 1206. Hi guys, hope today's video was simple and informative. If you liked what you saw, share it with your friends and family so that learning and reading history becomes more than just a textbook activity. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.